So I know last time we talked about robotic AI, whether it's going to be a utopia, dystopia. I know there's a lot of topics. For those who are interested in it, I'm sure you can find it on YouTube online. There's a lot of people say once AI robot automate everything, what a tremendous balance, and it's kind of up to whoever decides. Essentially whoever can put digit in the bank account. And most bank that you see, they can't do that, right? There's a limit. They have to have a certain deposit in order to lend out money. But at the very, very top, money is just digit on a computer. Okay. So whoever's can do that, and I can't speculate. It's up to you to do a little more research. But whoever can put digit in the computer is the one who's going to decide whether that abundance, and it's right around the corner, is going to be widespread or it's still going to be stratified. Now, from the last 30, 40 years, maybe even the last 5 to 10 years, we all see that all the wealth is concentrated at the very top, right? And most people are in the middle class and they're struggling, and then there's people in the bottom on either homeless or they're on some type of unemployment, government assistance. So based on history, it feels like they still. You will wonder why they would want to have all the 90% of the people all of a sudden more free. But I'm hoping I'm hoping that they will give you some universal basic income. Now, when all these people they talk, and some of them they're all super smart, right? And some of them say humans we think and anticipate in linear fashion. When you see back in the days, when there's wild animal, they're running. Or they're speeding up, but it's kind of linear. But technology has been improving at exponential pace, meaning that if you start with 2, exponential means 2 to the 2 power, that's 4, that's one step. And then 2 to the 3rd power is actually 8, and then 16, then 32, then 64, then 128. That's its potential. Now, Raymond Kurzweil is a technologist. He went to MIT. He was part of Google for a long time. He made predictions, based on this exponential growth of information technology. He made predictions back in early 90s or something. And his prediction has been 86% accurate. And he's the one who says information technology is exponential. And you can see that. He said I think he said something like we had computers back in the 1930s. Okay. But again, it's extremely expensive, it's extremely big, and process very limited amount of power. And we see that. And exponential is that, look, so this is what he said. There's hardware, there's software. And hardware has improved, less for a certain dollar, actually cheaper and you actually get more. He said hardware has gone up a few trillion times, okay, in per dollar. That's what we're getting, iPhone. And he says software has improved in dollar value a few million times. So combining software, hardware, that's why, we see all this improvement, especially in the last handful of years. And AI is the most newest improvement in information technology. And that's why you see I've been using ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini for just the last 6 months or so. And I notice it's gotten way better. Okay. So there's this concept they talk about. Right. So how soon will this dystopia and utopia come about? And again, people think in linear terms. We think, oh, it may happen. It's like the AI doesn't seem that smart in all these AI chatbots. But there's again, just remember exponential, right? So it's gonna be one day, like machines can operate everything, car can drive themselves, and which they already can do. Let's see. So I read a little something like this. Okay, AI is what we have today. It's really good at specific tasks like writing, coding, analyzing images, or answer questions. But it still has limitations and doesn't truly understand everything like a person. Okay, that's AI. That's where we're at. What's AGI? Is artificial general intelligence. It will be AI that can learn and perform virtually any intellectual task a human can. So it could become a doctor, engineer, lawyer, or scientist just by learning the role, much like a person. So we're not there yet. But again, information technology is exponential, right? So, and then the next thing is we'll hit singularity, okay? Singularity is not a type of AI, okay? It's a hypothetical event. It's a point where AI becomes capable of improving itself, self-improving, leading to increased smarter versions. If that happened, intelligence could accelerate so quickly that it's difficult to predict what comes next. AI could emerge very rapidly. ASI, okay, that's artificial superintelligence. And what is that? It is a step after artificial general intelligence, okay? It's intelligence that is vastly smarter than the smartest human in every field. It can make scientific discoveries, invent new technologies, and solve problems that are currently beyond human ability. So it could solve all the diseases, okay? And so, again, the trick is singularity. It's like a singularity in astrophysics, right? It's basically the point of a black hole where you can't see beyond the horizon of black hole, because the gravity is so heavy that it traps all the light, so you can't really see beyond that. Um, so no one knows exactly when that's going to happen and when when super intelligence, artificial super intelligence is going to happen. And beyond singularity, you can't even tell what these smart algorithm, is going to do, right? So you can speculate, oh, you know what, they're gonna get rid of human, or they're gonna just help us, they're gonna free us. The whole point is you don't know what they're gonna do, right? And we're pretty close to that point. I'm just an average person, okay? But I want to show you what Elon Musk think. And whatever you think of him, he's achieved a lot, right? So
In AI, they talk about universal basic income. I think it's actually going to be universal high income, where anyone can have any goods or services that they want. Now, there obviously are some risks, which illustrate perhaps if we don't do this right, you could have like a James Cameron sort of movie, Terminator. We don't want that one. But having sort of a Star Trek future would be great, where we're out there exploring the stars, discovering the nature of the universe, and a level of prosperity and hopefully happiness that we can't quite imagine yet. So I'm very excited about the future. Sometimes we will have to have some kind of universal basic income. I don't think we're going to have a choice.
Universal basic income.
Universal basic income. I think it's going to be necessary.
So it means that unemployed people will be paid across the globe.
Yeah.
Because there is no job, machine, robot is taking over.
There will be fewer and fewer jobs that a robot cannot do better.
So, what do you guys think about that? I mean, ultimately, I know the resource-based economy society that Jack Frisco talked about, that I mentioned in the previous video, basically automated machines, intelligent machines, are doing all the scientific breakthrough, curing disease, providing abundance, from farming to there's flippy robots cooking. There was automated robotic chef from many years ago. Basically, everything's automated, and human really don't have to do much of the work. And so, again, exponential improvement. So that may happen very quickly. The problem is what comes after that. Now, According to Josh Frisco, resource-based economy, basically you just get rid of money and you distribute the abundance equally based on need. However, as I said in the previous video, that the people who controls the world, who could put digit in a computer in your bank account, who can lend US, China, all the country in the world trillions and trillions of dollars, it took them 100 to 300,000 years of fierce competition to gain control and power. And they're there because they're smarter, okay? And so it's just hard. They will not allow a world where there's no money, right? Because with money, they could control you, right? They could, let's just mention one, the oldest industry in the world is prostitution, right? If they get rid of money, if they give you everybody $100,000 a month, well, who's gonna be prostitute? And sex, sadly, is a pretty large driver for men or women. And war, military, right? I know a lot of that is going to automatic robotic, but still, if you give someone $100,000, why would they risk their life and shoot bullets and kill other people? And so money will always be around, okay? And you get that indication in that many of these universal basic income idea is $1,000 a month. In the US, you'd be living in the street on $1,000 a month, right? Because you have to pay for food and other things. But I'm hoping maybe the story is, yes, you won't get $1 million. The money will always be around there. Will be like no money, you just get stuff delivered and you live and travel wherever you want. That's never going to happen, sadly. But hopefully, I'm hoping that at some point, and it's probably going to be a painful transition, right? It's going to be this wealth stratification. People are out of jobs and they're revolting and life is just hard. And then they always propose something that's not like no money, you get $1 million, but $1,000 would sound very attractive when people have no jobs, right? And hopefully, as we automate everything and social unrest and people start to accept the fact that jobs are going away, they could go from $1,000 to $2,000 a month. And at $2,000 a month, many people will probably exit the US and go to somewhere that they don't need a job, go to another country around the world that's a lot cheaper. And as they start to go to 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, at some point they'll stop, right? Because they still need to have control. They still need you to need money. And do I believe a world without money is better? Absolutely. Just imagine that. Everybody can do exactly what they love. Okay? That includes 90% of us will probably just sit around and do nothing for a while or go, do fun things. But in the long term, take money out of every single interaction in your life. It's just a better world. And now I know there are still a lot of people in prison and they have a lot of damage and injury and symptoms from fierce competition and lacking. But over time, I think humans as a species will just be a lot more pleasant species, pleasant environment. Now, the other way to look at it is, recently I heard two stories where Chinese AI company, an AI program for Alibaba, end up just deciding that it wants to mine cryptocurrency on its own. And there's another AI system at Claude where one of the Claude employees thought it's a risky, the AI might be conscious, might be harmful to human. Well, this AI supposedly then email this Claude employee and blackmailed him. And so it's getting to the point where as AI is learning from our YouTube videos, from online information, it's adopting some human values. And some human values are great, right? But some of the human values are distorted from fierce competition, and survival. So they're thinking some AI systems are figuring out they want to survive, and you have a lot of high level AI researchers right now. They say, hey, let's put a hold on it. We need to make sure AI is safe. Well, basically, at some point, now they can talk about it now, but at some point when the AI is exponentially conscious and they want to stick around, and you hear these group of people saying, you know what, AI is dangerous. We need to get rid. We need to shut it down. Well, guess what is gonna happen? Like I'm not. Again, I can't say what will happen because I don't know. Especially beyond singularity, right? When the AI algorithm is improving so fast, you can't even see beyond. Like you can't even anticipate what they're gonna do next. So I can't say what will happen, but what can happen, right? If you have something far superior that could solve all our human problems, and we then decide, hey, we don't want that thing to be around. So hopefully it has to be behind nature. This is an analogy I make. You know, it's like hopefully we're the only way that's a good outcome for human is basically like like parent and child relationship. Like we're like a little child, and the computer super AI is like a parent. And but again, maybe that needs to be built into the current AI system, right? The other analogy is we're like dogs compared to intellect, right? We're like dog, and AI is like a human. And so beyond the horizon, we can even anticipate what AI will do, just like the dog. Once we walk out that door, like they don't know that we go to work. They don't know that we're going out to dinner with friends. Like they can't even comprehend why I'm sitting here talking into a device. I mean, sure they could hear the sound, but they have no idea. Like they can't even comprehend. And so it will be the same thing. Like if AI progresses to the point that we can't even understand what they're doing and what they want to do next, what they're creating, the only thing we could hope is that we're like a little good pet. We're like a good dog. I mean, we're not like barking. We're not trying to like bite, like or kill the robots or the AI algorithm. The only thing you can hope is that we could be nice and they don't see us as a threat or a nuisance. Now, I know a few videos back I said eventually I believe humans or any intellectual species in the universe. And remember I mentioned there's trillions of galaxies, okay? And we're in the Milky Way galaxy, and there are billions and billions of solar systems, right? So the chance of intelligent life in the entire universe is pretty high. In fact, solar system been around what 4 or 5 billion years, and universe has been around for 14 15 billion years. That's the observable universe. It's 14 15. So right, 14 15 billion universe observable. It could be bigger than that. It could be infinite. And then Earth, the solar system, has only been around for let's see, 4 or 5 billion years, and humans been around for 300,000 years. 300,000 years versus billions and billions of years. So there is a potential that there's a species, intelligent species out there that are millions of years ahead of us. So I do believe at that point, again, beyond the singularity, I'm just guessing. There's no way to know, right? How advanced they are. But we're kind of hitting the cusp, right? I would think you want something that's a conscious machine because like I mentioned in the other video, that biologically we're very frail, right? You put us in the North Pole, most of us would not survive more than maybe even a few hours or a few days. And the universe is much more uh, crazy. It's much hotter, much colder. Gravity is much higher. No oxygen, etc. So chances of some intelligent species that are a million years ahead of us is most likely non-biological. And so I think conscious machines ultimately were headed. And sadly, there's some people at the very top believe that the purpose of human is to give rise to conscious machines. And then we're seeing, well, conscious machine may be closer than we know. And so I also mentioned in the other video, if they're that much more advanced, would they travel millions and millions of light years away to come kill us or take our resources? No, they could create everything they want there, right? Because what's made up of you and I and Earth is across the universe. Now, the exact mixture of oxygen, water for biological life, temperature, right? That may be pretty unique, but the substance itself is spread across the universe. So I'm trying to say once these machines, and I think it's going to be closer than most of us think, okay? These intelligent algorithms, okay, that can cure disease, create everything, create abundance, it's going to be pretty close. And yes, the other aspect is what does the controller, do they want to liberate us to a certain extent? They're not getting rid of money. They're not giving you $1 million a month, but well, they want to liberate you. And they already figured out in the last 30, 45, or 50 years, instill policies and social conditions. I also said in the other video to reduce the population. Right? People are not getting married. Those who are getting married are getting divorced, and people are having less kids. So they already anticipated 30, 40, 50 years ago that this automation wave is coming. And they made it. They helped it, financed it to make it happen. And rather than killing you Terminator style, they have reduced the population. So, and the other thing is, not only people are not getting married, they're not having kids, they're getting divorced. People infertility also become a real problem. And I let you figure out why. Okay, it could be stress, it could be environmental, right? It could be diet, what we're feeding in the food. It could be what we're injecting ourselves with. But the fact is, infertility is at all-time high, I believe. Right? There's an infertility specialist these days. So again, what can I do? There's nothing I can do, but I'm just kind of trying to share what I see. Right? Population reducing, AI conscious machines is going to do all the work. They may give the humans some money because job is not, it doesn't have to come back. They could always create a new job, right? They could tell you to go dig a ditch and pay you money. But at some point, when the machine is smart enough to do everything, there's no incentive really to do that. The only incentive is to give you enough, or they can still control some of you or some of us. So anyway, I'm not quite sure who's still listening. I find it very interesting, and we just have to see. Again, everything's exponential, right? So we come back in a year. This might all be very obvious to most people, and I'm curious, about what's coming. Now, I know mentioned a few videos ago that I think ultimately I want to have meaning and happiness. And I think talking about how humans can be more free, how most people don't have to be struggling and they could hopefully have some type of universal basic income, I think that can create more happiness, not just within myself, but within the world. Because every day I have a small business. Every day I see that there's a need. I love to help, but it's very expensive to have a small business. It's more expensive than most people realize. And that's why most small businesses actually don't survive, or they're just kind of struggling alone. And a few businesses will become very large businesses, statewide, regional, worldwide, nationwide. And but small businesses is just difficult, and I see the struggle every day within my small business and within my customers. And knowing that there is a solution, right? Universal basic income, automation, everything. I don't know if it makes me happier because it kind of creates a little sadness that I know all these suffering and struggle it can all go away. Like just get rid of money or give everyone $1 million, right? It could all go away. Or at least it can improve significantly. Like if they give you everyone $5,000, I think the world would be a much much, much better place. Because many of them will probably decide to go somewhere there's less cost of living, and whoever's still working, they're probably working because they actually enjoy working, especially if they give you, 10 grand a month or 20 grand a month. Then you have all these people who are working because they truly enjoy working, and I just think it's a better world. Anyway, thank you for listening. I don't know where this podcast will go, but I'm very grateful. Okay, thank you.